There are moments in life when you realize the significance of your efforts, when the fruits of your labor finally manifest as something tangible, something real. That was precisely how I felt the day I signed the final paperwork for the house. It wasn't just a property made of bricks and wood. It was my future, my reward for every sleepless night, every extra shift, every moment I denied myself the comfort of easy pleasures. All so that I could own something that was completely mine. The house was a 2-story structure nestled in a peaceful, well-maintained neighborhood. It was the kind of place where families put up Christmas lights in December, where children rode their bikes in the evenings, and where parents proudly tended to their lawns. The backyard was my favorite feature, expansive, open, full of possibilities. I envisioned building a deck, hosting summer barbecues, or, if everything went well, watching my future kids play while Sophia and I sipped coffee on a quiet Sunday morning. Sophia had been my partner for 5 years of marriage, 2 more years of dating before that. I loved her, or at least I had convinced myself that I did. After all, love wasn't just about feelings. It was about commitment, about sticking together even when things got tough. And things had been tough. I had overlooked many signs. The way her parents treated me like a walking wallet. The way she never missed an opportunity to remind me of what she deserved. The way her affection always seemed to grow after I did something for her. Perhaps I should have seen it sooner. Perhaps I should have understood that love wasn't meant to feel like a transaction. But I was too deep into it, too focused on the future I was determined to build. So when the day arrived to bring Sophia to the house for the first time, I was both excited and nervous. I wanted her to love it as much as I did. I wanted her to see it as the place where we would start our future together. Standing outside with the keys in my hand, I turned to look at her, hoping for a positive reaction. Instead, she barely glanced at the house before looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Neither excitement nor gratitude, just entitlement. She snatched the keys from my hand, jingling them in her palm like a new toy. "My parents will live here, too," she said, her tone casual, as though she had already decided this long before I'd even handed her the keys. I was stunned. I must have misheard her. I thought, "What?" I asked, forcing out a nervous laugh. Sophia simply shrugged and walked toward the door as if she already owned the place. "My parents, they'll move in with us. There's plenty of space, so it won't be a problem." I stared at her, waiting for a grin, for some sign that she was joking. It never came. "Sophia," I said, my voice wavering, "this is our house. Just us." She turned toward me then, her face tightening, her lips pressed into a tight line. "That's selfish," she said, as though I had just suggested tossing her parents out onto the streets. I blinked, trying to comprehend what was happening. "Sophia, I worked so hard for this house. I spent years saving for it. This is for us, for our future." She wasn't impressed. In fact, she looked annoyed. "If you don't like it, you can leave," she said, dismissing me in a way that shook me to my core. Her words stunned more than I anticipated, not just because of what she said, but because of how she said it. There was no fear in her eyes, no hesitation. She meant it. For the first time in our marriage, I realized something, a revelation that had been a long time coming. Maybe I had been blind all along. Maybe this wasn't the beginning of our future after all. Maybe this was the end. When I married Sophia, I believed I knew exactly what I was signing up for. We'd been together long enough that I had seen her flaws, her stubbornness, her sharp tongue, her unwillingness to compromise. But love, I told myself, was about accepting both the good and the bad. And in the beginning, there had been a lot of good, laughter, trips, and the dream of building a life together. But over time, cracks began to appear, tiny fractures at first. Sophia's family, for example. Margaret and Henry had always been part of our lives, but I had convinced myself that it was a good thing. They were family. They cared about us. Yet as time went on, I realized their involvement wasn't rooted in love. It was out of convenience. They saw me as an opportunity, a walking wallet to dip into whenever they needed something. It started small loans to help with a bill here and there. At first, I didn't mind. I was raised to help family. But then it became more frequent, an unexpected medical bill, an increase in rent, Henry's failed business ventures that somehow always seemed to be on the brink of success. Every single time, Sophia sent the money without so much as a word to me, as if our finances were entirely hers to manage. At first, I told myself it was okay. It wasn't every month, just the occasional request. But one day, I opened our joint account and found a massive withdrawal. $1, $500 gone overnight. That was the breaking point. Now here I stood, watching Sophia leave. She had come searching for answers, for closure, for something that would make her feel like she still had a place in my life. But I had nothing left to offer her. No pity, no second chances. I was done. The texts and calls began the next morning. People, most of whom I hadn't spoken to in years, began telling me how terrible I was, how I had abandoned Sophia. They didn't know the truth. Sophia had already started spinning her tale, painting herself as a victim, claiming I had thrown her out, left her with nothing. Some people believed her. Enough that my phone kept lighting up with messages from people who had never cared about our marriage before. I ignored most of them, but one message caught my attention. It was from someone I hadn't spoken to in ages. Sophia is telling people you cheated on her. Cheated? I had been nothing but faithful to her. Yet now she was rewriting our story, spreading a lie to anyone who would listen. I let out a bitter laugh. This was Sophia's last attempt to control me. If she couldn't get me back, she would destroy me instead. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I'd dial her number. She answered on the first ring, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, now you want to talk?" I cut straight to the point. "I know what you're doing." There was silence on the other end before she scoffed. "I don't know what you're talking about. Lying about me, saying I cheated on you. That's low, even for you." There was a long pause, then a sharp exhale, like she had been caught, but didn't want to admit it. "You'll never win, you know. People will believe what they want to believe." "No, Sophia. You made them believe it. You spread the lie." She didn't deny it. She didn't have to. This wasn't about truth. It was about control. She had lost it over me. So now she was trying to control the narrative. "You ruined my life," she spat, her voice shaking. "You humiliated me. You took everything from me. You made me look weak." There it was. It wasn't about what I had done. It was about how I had made her look. She didn't care that she had hurt me. She didn't care that she had taken me for granted. She only cared that I had finally stood up for myself. I let out a slow breath. "Sophia, this is the last time we're ever going to speak." Her breath hitched on the other end. "What? You want to play the victim? Fine. Spread your lies. I don't care anymore." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. "Although you and I both know the truth." There was silence, then a choked sob. "I hate you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I really, really hate you." And then she ended the call. I sat there for a long time, staring at the phone before finally deleting her number. And just like that, it was done.